Today we will be looking at one of the best haunted house movies ever made. This movie has had a big impact on the horror movie world, inspiring big movies such as The Conjuring, The Shining,
Here's Johnny,
and Scary Movie 2. Dating all the way back to 1973, this ghost story about a house that's believed to be haunted will definitely still surprise you and also make you question what you're actually watching. Let me tell you the interesting story of The Legend of Hell House. The movie immediately lets us know that all the events are just one big fairy tale.
This is bullshit. This is total bullshit.
We meet these two lovebirds, Dr. Lionel Barrett and his wife Anne. Dr. Barrett goes to talk to an old man, who asks him if he would like to go ghost hunting at this manor with the nickname Hell House. The man also tells him he'll be assisted by two mediums. After some thinking he agrees, and him and his wife, whose hair looks like a meatball, go and pick up the third member of their ghost hunting team, Ben Fisher. Apparently Ben is the only survivor of the last rescue group in Hell House, so I'm sure his traumatic memories will come in very helpful. Our final member of the Ghostbusters is medium Florence Tanner, who is very sensitive to spiritual interactions.
If you ever see a ghost, cut the motherfucker.
Now that the squad is complete, they start their road trip to the haunted mansion and we're met with this amazing title card. The group enters the dark building and starts roaming around. Dr. Barrett tells us some man called Emeric Velasco died in this house and that he's probably the boogeyman they're looking for. They soon find the house's chapel and decide not to go in because Florence is a little bitch.
Chapel? Sorry, I can't right now.
Fucking pussy!
Into a different room they go, where Florence finds an old radio and plays what sounds like a message from someone talking into a toilet bowl.
Welcome to my house. I'm delighted you could come. I'm certain you will find your stay here most illuminating. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Till we meet again.
Dr. Fisher starts explaining more about the man who died here, Mr. Velasco. He tells that the man was known as the Roaring Giant and gives us a list of all the crimes he committed.
Drug addiction, alcoholism, sadism, bestiality, mutilation, murder, vampirism, necrophilia, cannibalism, not to mention a gamut of sexual goodies. Shall I go on?
Apparently Velasco killed himself in this very house, but the reason why is unknown. The group is starting to get a little bored and decides it's time for a seance. Florence starts speaking all kinds of rubbish that doesn't make sense to anyone, but suddenly her voice changes, causing this eerie scene.
I don't know you people.
Why are you here? Does no good. Nothing changes.
Deciding that was enough spooky time for today, they all go to bed. We cut to Florence her room where we see someone entering through the door.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
She tries to contact whatever just came in, but all we hear is gibberish. Florence thinks the spirit told her he's Velasco's son called Daniel, and the spirit leaves quietly. The next day, Florence tells the group what happened in her room and they all decide to have another seance. This time they tie Florence down to a chair and use all kind of weird machinery to make her do ghost tricks. The girl starts blasting these white strands out of her fingers like a very lazy Spider-Man and is asked to leave a sample in the glass in front of her. Florence wakes up after a loud crash and Dr. Barrett grabs her head like he's grabbing a melon. Our girl Florence goes to wash the ectoplasm of her hands and is met with someone waiting for her to have a romantic cuddle. Turns out our ghost boy Daniel is scared of women and makes a run for it again. Very startled, Florence goes downstairs and once again explains what happened by talking at the speed of light.
Sounds, shaking of the house, coming through closed doors, rushing winds, levitations, automatic writings, or the speaking in tongues!
Bruh.
They don't believe her this time, and random shit on the table starts to explode. Dr. Barrett almost gets barbecued and they start blaming Florence for this happening, suggesting she should leave the house.
You're the one who should leave this house.
They go to sleep again as we cut to Dr. Barrett and his wife. Anne can't manage to fall asleep, so she goes for a glass of no-no juice. Fisher is still awake and just chilling downstairs as he sees Anne coming down the stairs, clearly having had more than that one drink. Anne's face is completely soaked by her sweat and she tells Fisher she wants to bone.
Naked.
Maybe next time brush your teeth before trying to seduce your husband's colleague. She drops her dress down and it's clear that Dr. Fisher hasn't been with many women before. Dude has gone and pressed the wrong button. Maybe next time. In the meanwhile, Florence is exploring the dungeon of the house and she thinks she's found Daniel's hideout. Daniel, who's still afraid of women, lets Florence know she's getting too close. Florence calls for the others and shows she was right after all.
Damn, Daniel!
Florence needs a big timeout and heads for her bed. She suddenly sees a cat walking into her room and goes absolutely crazy on her.
What in the name of God?
The girl is not in the mood for a second ass whooping and home runs the cat into the fucking wall. The cat wants to go for another round, which it will soon regret. She of course goes to tell the others again what happened. Florence thinks the cat was possessed by Emeric Belasco and is certain that he's controlling all the spirits in the house. The gang just waves it off and goes on with their spooky investigation. Anne, who seems to be in some kind of trance, decides to hit on Fisher again, but doesn't know her husband is watching and heard everything she said.
I'll find somebody who will. No!
Of course, Anne now turns into a little crybaby, which seems to work because she's immediately forgiven. The two men talk it out and it looks like they're bros again. Fisher decides to take a nap to escape all the weird shit going on. I think he's having a stroke. Oh no, he's good. Florence decides to relax a little with a warm shower, but even that is too much to ask. Poor little demon pussy. Dr. Barrett feels like he's seen enough and gets ready to use his big machinery to cleanse the house from evil ghouls. Apparently this thing would explode all the ghosts in the house with some kind of radiation. Fisher strongly forbids him to use the machine, as he thinks it will anger the ghosts if things don't go as planned. Dr. Barrett tells him to piss off and says he'll do it anyway. Of course, our hypersensitive Florence is in her room again, ready to take a nap. Looks like Daniel got over his fears and joins her in the bed this time. We hear her scream and the group runs in only to find her scratched up in bed. The spirit seems to have taken control over her.
God. He's inside me.
It can't stop me.
Who the hell do you think you are, you bastard?
And she now desperately wants to leave the house and Fisher agrees. Barrett disagrees and makes them stay until his ghost machine has done its job. Our little psycho chick is not in the mood to die, so she whacks the machine, only breaking the glass. Dr. Barrett decides it's only fair to hit back. Florence disappears as we see her rushing to the chapel which she feared in the beginning of the movie.
Chapel.
She hears some weird noises around her and is met with a big hug from Jesus, causing her to say goodnight one last time. Finally, they turn on Dr. Barrett's ghost machine and quickly head outside. When they go back in, everything seems to be peaceful.
Is it really over, Lionel?
Yes, it's over.
Barrett, the house is clear. It is completely clear.
Shortly after, a ticking noise interrupts the silence and we see its way from over. Anne looks for her husband in the chapel and also finds him lifeless on the floor, crushed by a lamp of all things. Fisher joins Anne in the chapel and discovers it's been Emeric Belasco all along who's been messing with them. Dr. Fisher starts taunting the ghost of Belasco and nearly gets a kiss from the lamp as well.
Whatever you do,
He then starts mocking Belasco's size, accusing him of being a short man.
What size were you, Belasco? 5'2"? One? I know! You weren't even 5 foot tall!
This causes all noises to stop and a door quietly opens in front of them. And there they find the corpse of Emmerich, which is actor Michael Gough, famous for his roles as Alfred in Batman. Dr. Fisher cuts open the corpse's pants to find prosthetics on both legs. Turns out the roaring giant was a short man in reality and hid from everyone in this fort. The walls were made of lead, so his spirit would be safe and could not be touched by any harmful stuff like Dr. Barrett's ghost murder machine. All along, Emmerich Belasco was a dirty short man with a secret he was so ashamed of that he hid in his own house. Fisher and Ann turn on the machine for one last time, cleansing everything in the house, including Mr. Belasco's little sex dungeon, and they leave once and for all. That was it for this week's video. If you made it to the end, I want to thank you for making it all the way here. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to check out my other videos as well. Also be sure to let me know in the comments what you want to see in future videos. See you in the next one.